Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today. I have a review to kick off some reviews for a series of movies that I have seen one of them a lot, and the rest pretty much never. This is a review series for When a Stranger Calls. I'm going to review the first film here, and I have two more reviews coming out tomorrow for the other two movies. This is a 1979 thriller, and it's a great example of why I don't like 1970s movies a lot of the time, whether it be horror, thriller, whatever. Now this movie, to me, seems like a clear knockoff, rip-off, whatever, of Halloween the year before. It also has this feeling of a short film that got extended out because of how good the short film was in the first 15, 20 minutes of the movie. The cold open of this movie is very good. The rest of it is boring as hell, and I hate it, to the point that even the remake that I grew up on took that cold open and made it the entire movie, which was a smart decision. I'll get to that review tomorrow, but, still. When a Stranger Calls, I am not a big fan of. After I saw the remake in theaters, which was one of the first thrillers I think I ever saw at all, I think I was probably 11 and a half, something like that. I'd grown up on Halloween. I'd been watching Halloween since I was probably 7 or 8, maybe even younger. I don't remember. But I loved horror at that point. I knew who Jason Voorhees was at that point, and then I saw this, and I really liked the remake. And I liked the remake so much that I watched it over and over again, and by the time a year had passed, I went to a Hollywood video rental store, and I saw the original on the shelf, and the cover of the DVD looked like shit. But I was like, I want to see that. Took it home, watched the first 20 minutes, never watched the rest of it ever, because I hated it so much. Never rented it again, never even tried again. But recently, the first two films, When a Stranger Calls and When a Stranger Calls Back, which is from the 90s, it's a TV movie, they showed up on Prime Video and Freevee, free to watch, so I was like, well shit, I just rewatched the remake maybe, I want to say 3 weeks ago, something like that, maybe 4, I don't know. But I watched it and I really enjoyed this again for my personal taste, my personal memories and nostalgia of seeing that film, but I'll get to that when I review that movie. And I wanted to go ahead and just cover them all back to back, even though I didn't really expect I was going to do this. But anyway, I sat down, I started rewatching this film on Prime, and immediately realized I was right and I had good ass taste when I was a kid. Anyway, When a Stranger Calls, the first 20 minutes are really good, the rest of the movie's awful. And I wouldn't even say they're really good in that first 20 minutes, it's just kind of solid, tense, and outside of that, not much of anything, to be honest with you. So, if you don't know, this movie kind of kicked off an urban legend about babysitting. And again, I feel like this is a total rip-off of a movie compared to Halloween. It's clearly inspired by Halloween, by many of the shots cutting from frame to frame, room to room in this house, or in multiple houses in the movie, that you're looking for the killer, but he may not be there. Anyway, starting off, we have Kane, who I'm not a fan of. The only thing I know about her and from her is her as Mrs. Claus in the Billy and Mandy Christmas episode. I love Billy and Mandy. She's good there. That's all I know her from. Apparently she played Granny in the live-action 90s, 80s, whatever, Addams Family movies. Never seen them. Don't know anything about them. But apparently that's who she is. I don't remember her much from anything. But, she's okay here. Not really the greatest by the end of it, but she's okay here. She starts off as a babysitter for a family that have some sick children that are upstairs in their room. They tell her just to kind of not bother them, just to make sure she listens for any kind of noises or anything. And when the parents leave, she begins to get some obscene phone calls that are kind of creepy, and one in particular from this British man that's saying, "Have you checked the children?" That was my British accent, just so you know. And it's pretty creepy. It'll put a chill down your spine. And he begins to call her again and again and keeps asking her that. That portion of the movie gets under my skin because it turns out he's already in the house and he killed the kids and they're dead, and he gets caught by the police when they show up after they call her to let her know the killer's in the house, you need to get out of there, get the children out of there, whatever. The man comes out trying to come down and get her. The police show up and they say that the girl's going to be okay. They catch this man, they put him in jail, whatever. And then we cut to 7 years later. I don't remember that, but that was a weird choice. It feels like a short film was adapted and stretched into a long, hour and 40 minute long movie, and then that was it. That was the solution here. It wasn't a good extension of a short film like Lights Out. It wasn't like that, it was this situation. It doesn't work, and it doesn't feel right. The pacing is so all over the place with this movie. From this point on, you follow a private detective, policeman, whatever he's supposed to be. I think he introduces himself as a private eye at some point. He is a guy trying to give a good performance, first and foremost. But he basically is just kind of doing his thing. This killer somehow escapes wherever he was at, the one who killed the kids. And when the killer escapes, we kind of go back and forth between the perspectives of that cop, private eye, whatever he is, and that killer. Now, the guy that also plays the killer is trying to give a good performance as well, but he's a fucking weirdo, and this movie drags its feet from scene to scene, having him just kind of wander around place to place, because he's homeless, number one, but number two, somehow he doesn't look homeless. Like, he doesn't have stubble or a beard or anything. And he's homeless for a long time. But the cop is trying to hunt him down, too, all of these years later after he, arrested this guy with his team. And that's really it. That is the movie, until eventually a confrontation of some sorts, and eventually Carol Kane is brought back into the movie, later on, the babysitter that I talked about. And that's it. That's this movie. And it's boring as hell. It's a great example of why I think I said it in this recording, I've recorded this review so many times and attempted to, that I may have said this in this video, I may have not. This movie is such a gigantic, boring mess that it proves my point of why I'm not a fan of a lot of 1970s horror films or thrillers or really anything, comedy-wise or any of that from the 70s. Most of it does not work, in my opinion. Very rarely do I find something that's popular that I like from the 70s. This is not one of those things. This is one of the most pathetic, awful movies I've ever seen in my life, and I cannot believe that it has the reputation that it has to this day. People I talk to tell me that when they saw this when they were younger, that it really fucked them up. And my mom is like the one person who's like, I didn't like it. You know? You had to be there to see it, but then there's people like my mom who are actual horror thriller fans, and even she's saying like she didn't like it back in the day because it had the weird pacing issues. And again, everybody's trying to give a good performance, but the script has literally nothing for them. Nothing. No character stuff, nothing. It's a fucking mess. The only one that even comes close to having a character moment is Carol Kane, and that's it. It's such a mess. And again, it's such a mess that even the first 20 minutes are the only engaging thing and memorable thing about this movie, that they took and made a remake years later in 2006 and made the entire film that first 20 minutes, which is a good idea, like I said. So with all that being said, that is my review for When a Stranger Calls. The acting ain't great, the writing ain't great, the directing ain't that great, it's pretty bad too. There's no color in the film, it's very pale looking. It's an ugly movie. It makes it even more boring than it actually is. What a mess. I hate this movie. I genuinely don't like anything about it. Not the music, nothing, which is really hard to say. That first 20 minutes are really solid and pretty tense, but it all feels at the end of the day like a total ripoff of Halloween and Michael Myers, and it's just not good. It's just not good, and I don't like it, and I don't recommend it, to be honest with you. I recommend the remake more than I recommend that, and that's not even that good, to be honest with you. Despite my nostalgia and my memories, my love for it, even that's not that great, but it's way better than this. So anyway, When a Stranger Calls, the OG #1 movie in the franchise. This is bad. Don't spend your time watching it. Just skip it. To be honest with you, just go to the first sequel. The only sequel, I guess. When a Stranger Calls Back from the 90s. Watching that right now, pretty solid, to be honest with you. I'm really impressed with how good that is. So anyway, that's just kind of a mild teaser, I guess, for that review. Anyway, When a Stranger Calls, if I had to rate it on a 5-star basis, I hate this piece of shit. It's getting a 1 out of 5 stars from me. I'm sorry. Might seem harsh to the people who were truly affected by this back in the day, but it's also like saying that you think The Exorcist is the scariest movie ever. I just kind of look at you when you say shit like that, you know? Anyway, not a good movie. Don't check it out. Don't waste your time. That's all I got to say. Anyway, When a Stranger Calls, what did you think about it? I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on this movie and its series, its first sequel, its remake, whatever, down in the comment section down below. Let me know everything you think, and hopefully you tune in tomorrow for the other 2 reviews for the other 2 films. I'd love to hear everything you have to say about all of it. Anyway, thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all, and goodbye.